Welcome to the first episode of the restoration of the MV Perth. Almost a blank canvas. The MV Perth, previously a steam-powered vessel, the SS Perth, has played a historic and pivotal role in the development of Perth transport on the Swan River for over 100 years. The vessel has recently been purchased and placed into a not-for-profit entity in a concerted effort not only to restore the vessel with due regard to its historic past, construction and heritage, but also to put back into service so as to generate sufficient funding to properly maintain this majestic icon of the Swan River for generations to come. But unlike previous vessels built in WA, the objective is, once that funding is committed and is brought back into service, it self-funds without further need for public support. To do this, the vessel must return to commercial operation. To understand the historic significance of the MV Perth, a short overview of its history is summarised as follows. On the Australian Register of Historic Vessels, MV Perth, vessel number HV 000553, built by A.E. Brown under commission from the West Australian Government Department of Transport, was launched in 1914. The vessel dimensions are 31.39 metres by 6.1 metres by 2 metres draft. In the old measure, 103 feet by 20.01 feet by 6.56 feet. The MV Perth was launched as a steam ferry from the yard of A. Brown at North Fremantle towards the end of 1914. It was built to operate on the ferry service between Barrack Street in the city and Main Street on the Swan River, South Perth. The double-ended hull shape allowed it to operate efficiently. There was no need to turn the vessel around at either wharf, where room to manoeuvre in shallow waters was very restricted. The 31.39 metre long hull is carvel planked in jarrah on the bottom. The top sides were pine and it was covered with a kauri timber deck. The cabin and top was relatively open and lightly built. It was powered by 2 coal-fired burners operating at 120 psi, built by Mackay and Baxter of Glasgow, Scotland. The SS Perth's first trial was reported in the Perth Daily News, 1st of January 1915, and I quote, "Yesterday the first steamer specially built for the government ferry service was given an extended trial on the Swan. The modern double-ended ferry boat is not altogether a thing of beauty, but Mr. A.E. Brown, a well-known shipwright who was subcontracted to Messrs. Denny Brothers for the hull, has succeeded in turning out a vessel the lines of which approach perfection in marine architecture. And, what is more, he has turned out a hull that has been built to last a lifetime." End of quote. It became an extended lifetime, with the vessel remaining in service more or less continuously until 2007, a period of 92 years. The SS Perth operated as a ferry through to 1950, when it became an excursion boat, when the road bridge across the Narrows had become the preferred transport across the river and patronage of the service had dropped significantly. In 1970, the original steam engine was removed and went into the West Australian Maritime Museum, where it is on display to this day. It was replaced by a Kelvin diesel engine. In 1982, MV Perth was taken out of service, but came back after being refurbished extensively in 1986 to be used for river transport during the 1986-87 America's Cup Defence Series. It was this refurbishment and the funds expended by the federal government that has led to the longevity of the hull in the MV Perth. In 1998, MV Perth was rebuilt again by Osco at Swan Dock, Fremantle. The hull was Dynel sheathed and the superstructure was also reinforced by fiberglass. It was then used as party boat. White pickets were added to the outside decks to give it an American Mississippi paddle steamer style, and it became known as the Riverboat Gambler, running gambling nights on the Swan River. MV Perth was purchased by the WA Steamship Company in 2007, and in order to stop it competing with WA Steamship's flagship, the PS Decoy, the paddle steamer at South Perth, it was moved and mothballed to a pen at Jervois Bay, Henderson. In 2009, it was subsequently bought by the Perth Boat School, and a lot of remedial work was undertaken. Leaking decks were stopped, the water pump repaired, the fuel pump replaced, the electrics repaired, and the entire fore and stern decks completely stripped, filled, overhauled and revarnished. It was undertaken as a community restoration project. However, much of this work was undone after 2012, when access to the vessel was severely restricted after a storm and it became badly vandalised. Since that time, the MV Perth has had multiple owners, all of which had great intentions, but the vessel remained in Henderson almost untouched to this day. In 2024, the current owners determined that they would look to refurbishing the vessel and getting it back into survey for commercial operation. If this weren't done, the vessel would have to be scuttled and sunk, or dismantled at the wharf. In a bold plan, a small tug was brought in to guide it to Fremantle Fishing Boat Harbour, where it is moored to this day. The vessel maintains most of its original planking, roofing beams and internal hull frames of Jarrah timber. It remains as one of the few Swan River ferries still afloat from the early 20th century. It shows the double-ended hull and twin-deck arrangement common to many commuter ferries, which was also appropriate for the Swan River service. The significance of the MV Perth is that it is one of the few Swan River ferries remaining from the early 20th century. It shows the double-ended hull and twin-deck arrangement common to many commuter ferries, which was also appropriate for the Swan River service. It is also an example of a commercial vessel built by A.E. Brown, one of the principal Fremantle boatyards of this period. Well, if the music hasn't put you to sleep, you've probably been watching as we worked our way around the vessel. We'll now head upstairs, see where the food went, and down into the engine room. You will get a very good sense of how much work's involved in just cleaning up the vessel before we start any work. It needs a lot of cleaning, a lot of rubbish that's been accumulated over the years, and sorting out what should be left on board and what shouldn't. The plan is to start work in the next 4 weeks. To do this, we're in real need of some enthusiastic volunteers to assist in all these tasks. We have an endless amount of sanding and timber joinery and painting of all the timber work on the vessel. Some of the more specialised tasks are mechanical and shipwright work, including fiberglassing and traditional joinery. If you're interested and would like to participate, send us an email to the mvperth@protonmail.com. Perhaps in your email, when you send it, you could explain your interest, your availability, and any relevant trade skills or qualifications. In order to fund this process of lifting and cleaning and engineers, we've established a GoFundMe, and we're aiming to raise $25,000 for that lift and those inspections. There's a link down below to the GoFundMe page. We'll have more videos out. I don't know the timing. It's early days. We will get into a system. We propose to bring videos on a regular basis, and we have a number of engineers and other supporting staff reviewing the vessel over the next couple of weeks. We'll keep you informed of that, and then beyond that we will probably dig deeper into the historical aspects of the vessel. We will take a look at what companies and individuals will be involved in the vessel and its restoration. In particular, there's some people who were involved that actually have a lot of knowledge of the history. There's engineers who have excellent background and have to some extent volunteered their participation, and we'd like to support them. So sit back, enjoy the rest of the views of the MV Perth, particularly around the engine room, and if you haven't already, like and subscribe, and please share it to as many people as you can. We look forward to catching up on the next episode too. Thank you for watching.